Wyverns and Weirdos Curse of Strahd is a horror-themed campaign, and as such contains dark themes, including descriptions of gore, violence, and other features intrinsic to the gothic horror genre. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Wyverns and Weirdos does Curse of Strahd. I am your Dungeon Master, Darby. Joining me as always is Zoe, playing Sevia, Emily, playing Beatrice, Laura, playing Conrad, Mitch, playing Exley, and Johanna, playing Fall. Let's get started, shall we? So, where we last left off, the party made their way inside the village of Kresk and to the Abbey of St. Markovia, where they met several of the strange creatures inside the Abbey's walls, including the abbot themselves. And were offered cots in the main hall for the evening, so that they could stay and rest the night. It's still probably, so it's probably the sun is probably starting to go down at this point, considering you made reasonably good time on the road. So. Yeah. The point we left, the abbot was welcoming you into the main hall.
As we follow him in. Because he said he had more to tell us out of the cold, didn't he? We can talk more out of the cold, doesn't we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sevia is going to keep her grip on Beatrice's arm. And via message is just going to be like, please don't do anything any of us are going to regret.
So, as a reminder, there is gentle sounding music trickling down from above, played on a single-stringed instrument, by some unseen master. Ground floor is one large 50-foot square room with arched leaded glass windows. A cauldron sits on an iron rack above a fire in a hearth, while above the fireplace mantle hangs a golden disc engraved with the symbol of the sun. The same one that you discussed may be, if your suspicions are correct, the location or a marker of the location of one of the objects you were told to find. In one corner, a wooden staircase climbs to the upper level, while in another corner, a stone staircase descends into darkness. Several chairs surround a wooden table that stretches nearly the length of the room, and wooden dishware and gold candelabras are neatly arranged on the table, standing behind which... Behind that was where Beatrice, you saw Vasilka before, but now, and that is where she and the abbot take up their places at the table. Please, take a seat.
We would be delighted to. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, you do not strike me as Barovians. Tell me, where are you from? What brings you to these lands?
I'd like to know that myself, to be honest.
A strange stroke of fortune. Your manner in which you approach this implies that this is quite normal for there to be non-Barovians around.
Not overly, but I'm not from here myself, so
Oh.
it'd be strange of me to be surprised of others entering this realm.
Oh, well, there we go.
So how did you enter here?
I have my means that allowed me passage into here, but unfortunately, the nature of this place, I was not able to leave once I got here. I'm a messenger from another world, sent here by higher powers to long ago at this point.
May I ask, what were you sent here to do?
I was sent to discover and to end the cause of the curse on this land.
Oh.
That is where Vasilka comes in.
Okay, what's her role?
Well, I've created her for the purpose of marrying Strahd.
I'm sorry, you created someone?
Purpose of marriage.
To Strahd?
Of course, it is all in the means of ending the curse. He desires a bride, and so to provide him with one should end his pining and thus the curse.
He seemed to be quite specific about the bride he was searching for when we were unfortunate enough to cross paths.
Yes, well, everyone is when they're obsessed with their first, but...
Well... So... Vasilka, you've created her specifically to... Sorry, this is quite unusual from where I'm from, at least in the regards of creating something out of nothing. That's strange magic, I must say. What makes you so certain that the second he gets any woman, he will stop his pursuit in general and relentless attack on this world overall?
I do not know for certain, but I have my reasons for believing this. For it is all that he seeks.
Well, you, wonderful. May I ask, just out of pure academic curiosity, if you've created Vasilka, who seems like a lovely person, by the way, are you also the one who created all those people we've met outside?
Just trying to see something.
He thinks very intently.
I will just say, this entire time, Beatrice has been sitting there, arms folded, looking as sulky as a bird can look.
That's quite sulky, to be honest. Birds can look very grumpy.
Yes.
Yeah. A very grumpy bird at the moment.
So Exley, Cedia, and Beatrice, at the question of the people outside, you see a brief look of shame and regret cross over the abbot's face. They are a reminder of early experiments gone awry.
How very like your kind.
yes, how, like, you're kind to keep them alive. Maybe, I mean, personally, do you tell them you feel this sense of guilt? I'm not sure that's particularly good for their psychological well-being, but keeping them alive and around, that seems fair and kind.
I do not know that they would understand it if I were to tell them of my feelings towards them. Most of them were driven mad in the process, unfortunately.
Oh, of course, so mad people don't understand anything. They don't... Okay. Fall looks very appalled by all this, and then it just kind of whispers to Sevia, like, he was really attracted to begin with, but wow, that has gone away.
Sevia is trying so hard to, like, follow kind of the conversation we had outside about, like, not causing shit until tomorrow.
Please don't mind them. They are quite strange people. We were, as you I suppose would know, having been summoned into this realm, we were all from different locations. This is sort of the best we've managed to make of it. So, please excuse us. Some of them are not used to residing in hospitable locations such as this one, Abbott.
Of course, yeah. Master Conrad.
Yes.
The creatures outside, do they have any use?
Some of them are still capable of serving as guards or attending to the grounds.
I suppose everyone must have a use.
I mean, personally, I don't believe a person has to perform labor in order to be useful. But I can see how having a place as large as this, it would be good to have people who can help around the building. And also, you know, some people say that having work gives you a sense of purpose in life, and I'm sure these people would enjoy having a sense of purpose.
You are wise beyond your years, young Sevia.
Yes, definitely.
Well, I am studying. I do make it my business to think occasionally. Every time Conrad makes a noise, Sevia's eyes just get a little wider. She's just like, but actually, why do you wonder if they're useful?
If a failed creation has a use, is it really a failure?
Sevia kind of relaxes a little bit at that, and she's like, yes, I guess that's something. And who's to call anyone a failure? Really, academically, did those people outside, were they born, created this way, or did they volunteer for this transformation?
They volunteered for the experiments that ended up as a failure. I hope to rehabilitate them in some fashion if I cannot find some way of redeeming them to their previous lives.
Oh, I'm sure they did volunteer.
Yes, I'm sure they did.
That seems quite noble of you. Do you have people to help you? I'm sure that's quite an undertaking. You must need healers for the mind, healers for the body.
The kind of help that I would require is not often found here in Barovia.
Right, but I'm sure once the curse is broken, you'll do everything in your power to get these people help.
Certainly so.
Good. That's something we can all remember.
Now, you seem like good people.
Yes, definitely.
We try.
I could task you with something. It's not no immense rush, as I suspect there is, that the Fates have some plan for you as it stands. But if in your travels, you manage to find a wedding gown that would be suitable for Vasilka here, if you could bring it back to the Abbey, I would be sure to reward you kindly for your assistance.
Oh, I'm not sure. I'm not a very useful person, but I can keep an eye out for it, sure.
Beatrice just rolled her eyes. Like, she rolls her eyes so hard, her eyes nearly fall out of her head.
A wedding dress, you say? Just any wedding dress?
A suitable one for the bride of Strahd. But beyond that, I have no particular preferences.
I give a very detailed up and down of Vasilka, just to lock in her measurements.
May I ask one question that is probably as an odd one in a group setting? Is Vasilka, is she aware of the nature of being put to marry Strahd? Are you willing to do this, Vasilka?
I am happy to fulfill my purpose. And it's at this point, as her head is moving as she speaks to you and turns to face you in particular, Conrad, that everyone notices that there is stitching along her neck, as if it was sewn into place.
Ooh. Oh.
And
construction.
There is a slight difference in tone between both sides of the scene. Not massively obvious, but definitely enough that you notice at this distance.
Has Sevia seen or read about any of this kind of reconstruction magic before?
Roll me an Arcana check.
Oh, which is the good dice? Okay, please.
Does fantasy Frankenstein exist?
Yeah.
God. Oh, I have a really good Arcana. Okay. That's still not a good roll. That's a 13.
13. Yeah, I'd say these are a fairly... You wouldn't have seen one before, but you would have read about them, and you would have probably heard about some professors on campus doing similar but not as necromantic projects. So Vasilka seems like she is likely a flesh golem.
Okay.
So you've seen probably some basic stone golems before. Typically made within the transmutation department and the not so much the enchantment department, but particularly in the transmutation department. And yeah, so they are animated automatons, much like Exley, but with nowhere near the sentience. But probably a bit more awareness than, say, something like a shield guardian. So they're not completely sapient, but they're not entirely mentally blank.
Yeah, okay.
On seeing the stitching around the neck, Exley is now intently studying Vasilka.
Okay. Yeah, roll me Arcana. Or Medicine, your choice. Depends on what you're looking for.
It's a shame, my medicine's higher, but I'd be looking for the magical necromancy capabilities. Yeah. So that's a 5.
A 5. Yeah, yeah, there's a touch of undeath to her, but not enough to really, actually, does she register as an actual undead?
Just wanted to go to a church.
Why is everything so messed up here?
Yeah, so not so much that she registers as an actual undead.
Okay, when Sevia kind of realizes that she's basically a flesh golem, and that, you know, if the abbot is to be believed, that she volunteered to basically lose half her sentience for this.
You can put things together however you want.
And that is
much like he did with the flesh golem.
Her eyes are just going to go a little wide, and she's going to look around the table to see if anyone else noticed and if anyone else is kind of putting this together.
It just looks a bit ill. And he's now not really looking at that, he's looking at the table, thinking about something else.
It's hard to tell. I won't even get you to roll an insight. Like, no one... Like, you can probably tell that everyone's noticed, like, the occasional glance, like, to the neck. You can probably tell that everyone's noticed.
It depends on what people's expressions are like.
But you don't pick up on any sort of real acknowledgement or indications that they would know what she is. And it's not all that surprising because, like, to your knowledge, you're the only one in the party with any sort of arcane background.
Yeah. It's just... it was less like, does anyone else here share my theory? And more just, does anyone... Okay, just me? Cool. Love that. Upon realizing that she's kind of the only one who has pieced together this particular set of information, her eyes kind of go a little wide, and she looks at Vasilka. So you are happy to marry Strahd?
Of course. It is why I was made. It is my reason for being.
Of course, but once you are married, do you have any aspirations of your own?
Why would I have any aspirations beyond my purpose?
Just thought I'd check. Well, I don't know about the rest of the party. I'm sure they can feel free to continue conversation, but I personally skipped lunch today, and you'll forgive me, sir, but I don't trust a lot of the food in Barovia, so...
an understandable paranoia.
Yes, so, I was just going to... is there anywhere quiet I could, or we could sit to eat our rations from home before we set up for the night?
Vasilka and I can give you your privacy and tend to things in the belfry.
That is incredibly kind of you, thank you.
And while we were at it, we will prepare the cots to be brought down for you.
Of course, unless anyone else would like to continue the conversation, I can eat outside.
No, thank you.
Beatrice just glares.
I'm sure the abbot and Vasilka have other things to worry about. We greatly appreciate you letting us stay here.
Any way that I can do the work of the Morning Lord.
Precisely. Well, you do it very well. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
And he stands up. Vasilka also stands up, and the abbot takes her hand, and the two of them walk upstairs.
The second they are out of sight, Sevia puts her head down on the table, just puts her hands over the back of her head, breathes in really, really deeply, and then just, you can tell she's exhaling, but it's as if it's a silent scream. Then she sits back up. I don't like it here.
It's possibly one of the most disgusting situations I've seen. And I've seen people have to go to war, so yes, let's just make a person. Why not?
That's what his kind do. They try and change people and make them acceptable for them.
I wouldn't speak about all humans like that. We're not all, most of us are not all. Some humans are not like that. It's a bit of a strange comment to come out with, Beatrice. Are you feeling quite well?
He is not what you think he is.
What?
He is not human.
Oh. He's not a vampire, is he?
No. He's from our reality. Sort of.
Yes, you said it was a messenger from somewhere.
What?
He's a deva. A celestial.
Oh.
An angel.
Oh, wow.
A celestial. Oh, excellent. And he pulls out his little notebook and starts looking through some shorthand.
Sevia has a moment where she's like, oh, a celestial. And then remembers what Beatrice told her and goes, oh, a celestial.
Nothing good ever comes from their kind.
Right? But we do have to sleep here tonight and try to convince him to let us look behind the son of the Morning Lord and then take whatever's behind it.
We don't really need his permission for that. It's just getting access to it.
Yeah, we can just do it.
Yes, that's it. Just be prepared to deal with the consequences if some people are not stealthy enough.
Fair. But still, Beatrice, I hope you, of all of us, maybe understand the need to hold those feelings in.
I understand.
Good.
Good. I cannot guarantee I can hold my temper, though. Especially not when he speaks like that. And then she gestures at Exley, and this one. I do not like the term useful. It would be best if you refrained from that kind of speaking.
I will seek ulterior words.
Yes.
People do not have to be useful.
Well, I mean, everyone has to have a purpose.
Beatrice gets up and walks to the other side of the room and she sort of sits against the wall and just sort of slides down and just sits there, arms crossed in a corner where she can watch everything.
That's strange, I must say.
That's right, Esmeralda's here.
that Celestials aren't often like that. But I have read tales, mostly in Rudolph's notes, about those who have fallen. That sometimes they take on dark vices, but keep the same self-righteousness of the celestial kindred, especially when they are outside of the upper planes for extended periods of time in lands that lend themselves towards corruption.
He certainly seems convinced that he is doing the right thing, though, well, I suppose reanimation is normal around here. That was, after all, what your mentor was trying to do earlier today. So, I suppose it's not exactly the best thing to be doing. He certainly seems to believe that marrying that creation off to Strahd would be the best possible course of action, and she seems to be content to fulfill her purpose and has no other aspirations beyond marriage, so...
She is a golem. She doesn't have all that many...
She's been ripped apart and put back together without half her sentience.
Oh,
I have a choice in this.
Magic.
And she's not one person. Not the parts, anyway.
No.
So is she something like our 42's friends, then?
Not
just an undead?
Not that either. I've seen...
Somewhere between the two, I think. You might have a point, Conrad.
Oh.
You were saying, Sevia?
Just that I've mostly seen golems in stone and clay. Where's her accent going? In stone and clay. I've never seen a necromantic golem before. Although I have read of them, they're rarely, if ever, done in Fierlor. For him to not only create her, but to create the people outside, that's years of work.
Question, Sevia.
Yes.
Stone golems and things require stone to create, I would assume. That's how magic is, or does it come out of just nowhere?
Abbey? Did they work?
It requires raw materials, yes.
Okay. It requires raw materials, yes.
Interesting. So it's a flesh golem, you say?
Yes, meaning he took parts from other flesh and knitted it together.
Well, I suppose, again, it's not much different from what was going to happen with Kazir if he'd come back, so I suppose that's not out of the question for this place. Excellent.
I'm sorry. Were you planning on stitching him together with bits of the rest of us?
Me?
Why is this in any way similar? That was reviving. That's different. It's the same genre of magic. It is not the same speciality.
He was going to be revived with all of his, all of that still mangled. It would have been pretty much the same thing. It's probably worse, I suppose, not stitched up.
It was different to a revival spell, yes. Why, I think so.
Sorry, I am going to let you have a grand conversation. I'm going to step outside for a moment. And Conrad stands up and grabs his stuff and then just very leisurely walks outside.
Okay.
He It's fine. It's fine. He's been dead less than 4 hours. She's like, one of her legs is just jigging under the table, and I'm assuming it's making a little... Is the floor like tiles?
It's kind of a marble stone.
Okay, her heel, her shoe is like making a little like...
Yeah.
Against the ground.
Yeah, it's probably actually been closer to something like 8 to 10 hours at this point.
Okay.
It was pretty much first thing in the morning.
Okay, well then she said the correct number of hours. Retcon, she said the correct number of hours.
I guess Thor's just gonna open up his backpack and start hand Savia some food first.
She takes it and just sits there. What this man is doing, it's unthinkable.
It's sick. I mean, it's tough because it all logically makes sense. You can see how someone can rationalize that, but without a shred of empathy.
I think when you were raised, when you were raised isn't quite the right word, but when you spend your entire life in a place where it is impossible for you to do wrong, when you go somewhere where you get corrupted and start to do wrong, it maybe doesn't register to you that it has become possible for anything you do to become wrong.
But
I'm not excusing what that being has done. Just offering up a possible explanation.
I can understand where he's coming from. Sorry, I'm... Comrade doesn't know a lot about magic. I'm guessing he just doesn't know the difference between bringing someone back to life and ripping their mind out of their body and putting it in something else.
Are you saying that's wrong? To take the soul of one and put it into the body of another?
I think it depends on the purpose, and it depends on the willingness of the soul to be moved.
Yes.
I personally would not like to be moved from my body. I'm sure others, if they were in a different situation to me, would want that to happen.
This is all assuming that the golem has a soul.
I forgot.
Well,
it's almost
ignoring Barovia's way of being Barovia. Do golems have souls? They're constructs.
However little she has, she's sentient. She's a heartbeat. She bleeds.
If they can talk and think, then
she can portray more to us than the hollow people, surely.
She has more emotion than I do. Does that make her more than I?
No. I'm not saying that the hollow people or that you or that anyone is worth more than anyone else. I am.
The question though is, does she? Does she really feel and think those things, or is it just programming, much like the golems back at the tower who work the elevators, who are programmed with the knowledge and the duty to pull the chains and allow passage between the floors of the tower. Just because she speaks doesn't necessarily mean that those are her thoughts or words.
This is just like my philosophy classes. I'm never smart enough for them. You know, they'd be going and talking, he's using all these fancy words, and then by the end I'd be like wondering, hey, maybe there is a purpose to poverty and all, like, the more words they use just clouds everything.
That's a lot of what academia is.
Yes, it rather was. Let's just treat anyone that appears to be able to think, to talk, to exist. I think they should be able to do what they want. But I don't really know what we can do for her in this situation, so it all makes it a bit mute anyway. Which is how a lot of philosophy discussions and everything go as well.
At the end of the day, what is your plans for defeating Strahd? And to escape this land? What do you have set in motion?
I want to find enough people to do it for me.
And you have found one.
Yes.
Are you willing to turn him away?
On that note, we're going to move over to Conrad going outside. So, was there anything in particular you were doing outside, Conrad?
Oh, so he's going to he just walk outside, and kind of like slam the door shut behind him as he goes out. Is there anyone else like in the courtyard now apart from the Batgirl?
No.
Cool. Okay. So he's gonna go a little way away from there and just kind of just like sit down in the grass. The dagger by his like hip kind of thing, stab that into the grass next to him, and is going to pull out his rations and just kind of like grumpily eat them, and then just like look over like the area again. But he said there's no one there, so he's just going to observe. That's pretty much it. What he's doing on his own. So yeah,
you do hear like the various cries and screams of the folk in like the chicken sheds.
Yeah, every time that happens, just kind of like glares and like his reaction sort of hardens, and then but he just continue to like eat fucking jerky or whatever it is. I guess we pilfered. But yeah, I don't know. That's what he's doing. Very riveting check-in. Back to the others.
Yeah. So after a while, the abbot and Vasilka come down. Starting to bring down cots. I hope we weren't interrupting.
You were having a productive conversation.
We were certainly having a conversation. No, thank you for the cots.
Yes.
Do you require any assistance bringing them down?
That will be fine. That will be fine. There aren't too many of them. There's only the 6 of you.
Yes. Well, I might just go warm my hands by the fire. And she goes over to the fire, and she is going to have a little old look at the big golden disc and how it attaches to the wall, and whether it is attached to the, like, is it inset? Is it on, like, little master clips? What is it?
Yeah, so roll me an investigation check.
Oh, yay. Please, for once in your life.
You can do it.
Converse. Okay. 18.
18. So, the disc isn't set into the wall at all. Like, it can be moved, it can be taken off. And you do quickly kind of push it to the side in a moment while the abbot and Vasilka are upstairs, and notice that there is a small alcove hidden behind the disc, containing a potion, some sort, in a crystal and electrum flask, which itself, the flask itself looks like it might be worth a bit of gold. And then so that's all that's in the alcove. And a small vial of arcanist ink, similar to the ink you picked up in, I think it was Barovia.
Yeah, in Ismark's house.
Yeah. This would probably only be enough to do 2 levels worth of spells.
Yep. How deep is the owl? Is it visibly booby trapped in any way? She probably would have found out when she moved it aside, a smart person.
There's no trap in moving the disc to the side. Make me another investigation check just to look over for traps.
Ooh, okay. My modifiers plus 8, that's 16.
16. No visible traps. No traps are evident.
Okay. So clearly, Sevia's not tall. So clearly if she can reach it and see into it, it's not super high up. How deep is the alcove? How easily could you... She's not going to grab anything, but how easily could you, grab it and run?
I mean... Yeah, it wouldn't be too hard, if you were to quickly pocket it. Oh, that's the other thing. Yes. There is also actually looking a bit harder, you do see there is some sort of metal object behind the 2 vials.
Okay. If she stands up on her tippy toes, can she see it any better?
Yes. So, let me find the description of this thing.
Yay! This is all happening very quickly.
Yeah, it must be.
Yeah. I mean, you're kind of timing it between their trips up and down. So this is what you see is a large platinum amulet shaped like the sun, with a large red crystal embedded in its center. And it looks like it has a long golden chain that it would typically that it would hang from.
So does it looks like the Morning Lord iconography?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, she is going to remember how you spell iconography. That's not it. She's going to kind of log that away in her head, move the disc back into place, and then just stand there continuing to warm her hands.
Okay.
Very nice.
Right.
I guess while this has happened, full Dotus is waiting at the door, ready to distract them if they come back.
God.
and eventually, all 6 cots are brought down, and the abbot and Vasilka are none the wiser as to your
fantastic. Easier than expected.
So clever. For once in this campaign.
Exley at some point is going to go out and find Conrad.
Okay.
Oh, thanks, Exley.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, would it be... I don't imagine it would be particularly hard to find you, Conrad.
Yeah, no, he probably would have just sat there for quite some time, and then he probably would have gone to go and check in on the horse, so the horse that is kind of hitched up, I think, but still within the grounds, obviously. Yep.
Yeah.
The horse romance with your characters.
I know. I always play horse boys. I don't know why.
The horse.
Yeah.
The horse.
Technically, Exley is playing a horse boy as well.
Yeah.
Roll me an animal handling check. To
Because
gauge.
that one, it kicks me in the face.
No,
It's not great. That's a 5.
It's hard to tell.
It doesn't like me.
You haven't known this horse long, so it's hard to tell. But it seems content enough.
Excellent. Cool. He's just checking over and making sure it's all still doing fine. Excellent. And yeah. He will, I assume it's not very hard to notice Exley walking up. Oh, so
6'8" lumbering through.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I remember it's probably like talking to the horse a little bit, but like in a different language. And then he like turns around, he's like, "Oh, 42. Hello.
Conrad, hello.
Yes. Has anything progressed indoors? I need to catch my breath outside for a few hours."
The cots have been set up.
Excellent.
And the others are calmer, perhaps?
Good. That's good to know. Well, actually, I have a quick question. Question 42. You could turn into a horse before, yes.
That is correct.
And you were the wolf that, well, we won't talk about that. But you could also become a wolf somehow.
That is also correct.
Is that magic? Or is this something you can do that you were built to do?
I was not built for this purpose. This is something I discovered in the months after the rebellion failed.
I see. Your choice. Can you become other animals?
I can.
What sort of animals?
Any animal that I have studied previously, which, unfortunately, in my few months of living, has not been many. But most animals local to this area, I am able to and have turned into before.
Interesting. So is there a size requirement on that, or could you become like a rat, for example?
I could absolutely become a rat. If you would like me to become something smaller, I can turn into a spider or a frog.
The infiltration possibilities for that are fantastic. Good to remember. Perhaps in future, that might be the best form to assume if we are to meet a similar area that we are not yet certain of. And then we can have the element of surprise, combat-wise. But yes, were you coming to look for me, or were you coming to check in on your friends?
My friends will take care of themselves until tomorrow morning, and then I will need to find them. But until then, they are fine.
Why would you need to find them in the morning? Do they get lonely?
If I do not find them in the morning, they will find me.
Oh, well, that's sweet, I suppose.
It is not.
That's understandable. I have similar sentiments in regards to people finding you and things like that, so I can understand.
Is that why you choose to isolate yourself from the rest of the group?
Yes, well, yes, I suppose so. I'm not used to being around people very much. I was, Well, as you know, one of the group died before you turned. Well, you saw the funeral as a wolf.
I did observe.
Yes, you observed that. And I shall tell you because I think as a construction of some regard, and you seem to speak your mind very clearly, I can tell that to you, but I try very hard to seem very dangerous, because my family are very dangerous people, and I was the one reading books most of the time, or studying how to do things and not really doing them, so I find it easier to try to appear dangerous and then stay apart when I don't feel I can do that. And the person that died previously is the first person I've seen actually die. I have, no offense, killed animals before, but seeing someone who you've travelled with for only a couple of days is quite something else entirely. So never really, I suppose at least it didn't have to be me to kill them, but in being here now is quite, it's quite likely it will have to happen. So yes, I do find it easier to be on my own most of the time. But anyway, that's of no consequence. You are very good at observing, 42.
Thank you. It is one of my skills.
Excellent. And, well, quick question, I suppose. Question. You are not, you clearly can make the dead do as you wish, yes?
To an extent, yes.
Is it any of the dead, or only your friends?
I have not tested my limits, if you will. At the moment, all of the creatures that I have converted have been humanoid in some form or another.
I see. So,
I have attempted on animals, but they don't have the same effects as, and I gesture to the cart, as 3, 5, 6, and 8 do.
3, 5, 6, and 8. Excellent. What happened to 4?
He was eaten by an alligator.
An alligator?
I was attempting to cross a river, but I was not certain if it was safe. So I sent 4 in, and determined it was not safe.
Indeed. I've only ever seen one in a picture book. Can you turn into an alligator too, then?
I unfortunately did not get as much of a look at the alligator.
I suppose only its jaws, perhaps. Well, I suppose it's all a learning experience, isn't it? Perhaps we shall have to see what the extent of your limitations or lack thereof in regards to making things that have fallen your puppets in the future.
This may be a good learning exercise,
Yes.
potentially for both of us.
Yes, I agree. That is one thing I'm good at, is assessing how people can reach their full potential. So, learning experience indeed, yes. Well, should probably rejoin the group.
Indeed. And I turn around and walk back.
Yeah.
I do too. We
Yeah.
go back.
Yeah. So back inside, the abbot and Vasilka have returned upstairs. Is there anything you're doing once they have done that? Before Conrad and Exley get back.
Beatrice is still where she was. She has eaten, but she has not moved from the spot in the corner of the room.
Is Sevia gonna talk to her or is Fall?
I'm just picturing Sevia and Fall kind of just like looking at each other like, ooh.
This is them all the time.
Yeah, just like, which of us has less anxiety right at this particular moment? Which of us?
I'll give it a try and see how it
Okay.
goes. I just forgot Bruce's name.
No. It's a very professional
It's just like,
podcast.
hi! Brain blank. Beatrice! Hi, I hope it's okay to ask. That was very smart of you, learning that he was a celestial. You've come across them before? I take it?
Unfortunately, yes. Many times.
That's odd. From what I heard, they're supposed to do good, but not.
Not where I'm from.
Well, I can imagine. Where are you from, actually? If that's okay to ask. Or you're more of a traveler?
I am now. I wasn't always.
Oh, it happens.
I lived in a small village in the middle of nowhere. We were not permitted in the nearby town all that often. They didn't like our kind. The Celestials, they banned us from that area. And then eventually it was not enough for them to just stop us from going anywhere. They had to change us to make us better, to make us useful to them.
Oh.
Any who did not submit would get flogged and executed
Oh,
publicly.
Yes, I always managed to avoid the public executions in my monastery, but I'm very sorry to hear that.
That is lucky for you then.
Yes. Oh,
There was never any reprieve.
I can imagine. So you left then.
I had no choice. They deigned us. They gave up. They deigned us too unseemly and too headstrong to be able to fully control us. They torched the village, locked everybody in houses. I escaped, but I was the only one.
That's horrid. I can imagine the toll that must be taking. You're very strong to move on like something from that. From what I've seen of you, you seem like a very smart and capable person. I think you seem to have come far from such sorrows.
It is interesting what the thought of revenge and spite will do.
Yes, that is. I'm sure that would make you very focused and everything. Oh dear. Well, being trapped in this Barovia then must be a wonderful reminder of old times, with dangers all around, right?
Somewhat.
Yes.
Beatrice then pulls her hood up and leans back against the wall and very much shows that she does not want to continue talking.
Yeah, that's very fair.
Around this point, Conrad and Exley return into the main hall.
I slouch in.
Conrad, would you like to join me by the fire?
All right.
It's cold outside. You look like you could use some warmth.
Yes, it's quite... Yes, all right, certainly. He steps over there, kind of glowering again.
She looks kind of really awkward. When doesn't she? And she takes a deep breath in. It's like, I am sorry if I lost my temper at you earlier. I don't handle days like today particularly well, historically, and I'm sorry if I take it out on you. That's not fair. We need to stick together as a group, and I should deal with things myself and not make it the group's issue.
He just kind of looks at the fire, is like, noted, accepted. Just don't go talking about how important your shoes are next time. And I'm sure we can come to at least some kind of agreement to cooperate.
You know,
And when he says that, he kind of like awkwardly like touches again, like where he's got a scarf tied around his neck.
Yeah. You know, I never really cared about the shoes. Just wanted you to open the door.
Yes, well, that's in the past now. That's, 2 days ago? So much has happened since then.
Yes. She looks down.
So that's... Yes. Yes. I don't mean to be particularly hostile to anyone. I think it would be better to foster at least a mutual usefulness with each other. But yes, I'm also not used to dealing with most of the people in this group. So, because of course I am not used to nobler fare and higher pedigree, of course. So, yes.
Of course.
Anyway, yes, fire is very warm. That was a good suggestion.
Yes. And she leans in a little bit.
He just like looks at her like, huh?
And she goes, if you look up at the disc of the Morning Lord, there is an alcove behind there. There are vials of some sort of potion, and what I believe to be another amulet.
Another amulet? Why the amulet?
It could be what we're looking for. Holy symbol. There's no traps as far as I could tell.
Well, that remains to be seen. Are the abbot and flesh puppet.
They are.
I can't remember her name.
Vasilka.
Vasilka.
They are-
name's Flesh Puppet now.
Oh no.
They are
Vasilka.
they are out of sight at the moment.
Okay. Well,
Sevia is also being quiet.
let's double check then. And Conrad's gonna double check to make sure there's no traps.
Okay,
Very
so
definitely.
Roll me
See
an
if he keeps an eye out.
investigation check.
Investigation.
Yes.
Could it be sleight of hand, Darby?
To look for traps, it is an investigation check.
Oh my god.
To disarm them, it would be sleight of hand.
It's a 6. Yeah.
6.
This is not
You don't.
a good night for
you
our
don't-
dice.
You don't see any sort of traps.
I don't see anything like this, although I'm used to sort of traps in my homeland, so if it's magical, I wouldn't know.
Well,
Yes.
I couldn't find anything, but I think come morning. Look, we can try asking him for it, but it might be. We might have to consider grabbing it and running come morning.
Stealing might indeed have to be the option, quite possibly thieving before daybreak and then getting ready to escape if it is indeed trapped.
Yes. Honestly, I thought we would be able to ask, but this man does not seem the type to... We can try,
Difficult.
maybe.
It is possible. The only problem is raising the knowledge of this means that, number one, difficult question, considering it would then admit that we know what's in there. Number two, it will raise his suspicions anyway.
Yes.
There's not a tactful way to approach it. And he seems a little bit strange.
Yes.
I haven't met a doctor like that before.
Neither have I. If we want to ask him specifically about the symbol, then maybe we could do it by mentioning the prophecy, but...
Possible.
It works towards his cause as much as Vasilka does, but there is also, maybe if we just ask him about the Morning Lord in general... I have not been familiar with religion for many years, but I don't recall the Morning Lord in Fierlor.
No, I only know Simphos, and I do not have not heard of that there in Fierlor either. So, quite possibly, just feigned interest is the best option.
Maybe if we ask him about the Morning Lord, we'll find out what that symbol does, and
Possibly.
maybe then we'll find out if he's willing to let it go.
I suppose it will have to be a touch and go sort of operation in that
Yes.
regard.
It may require some tact, so I'm sure you can understand why I'm quite nervous.
Yes, well, that's no comment. Good. Okay. Well, he moves about like a little centimeter to the side.
She kind of
to whisper.
She kind of stands back up straight. And like her hands are really warm at this point, but she just keeps warming them on the fire because she just doesn't know what else to do.
That's fair. It's relatable.
Fool's gonna head over with like a tray and be like, I'm gonna try roasting these nuts.
You and your nuts again, I see.
Sure, we still got some. We don't have much food.
No.
It might be tasty.
Well,
Yeah, so sorry for butting in.
It's
Yeah.
Fine.
Have you
Alright.
closed? Have you
Steps aside
closed back
before.
over the disc?
Yeah.
Okay. So Paul hasn't seen it yet. Like you've seen them fiddling with the disc above the fireplace.
Yeah, I
but-
did, yeah.
Beatrice is just sitting there watching us investigate, like
just angrily watching.
very
like,
interesting.
That's fair.
And Exley's just like do 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 do.
Exley is
Yeah,
just
it's Exley.
standing at the table, just watching everything that's happening, but not.
Do you need to eat, Exley? I can't remember if I've asked that question before or not. Sorry, question, yes.
You have not, and I do not.
Okay. All four can have their...
Yes. Either is good.
Oh, okay. Nuts to themselves. Yes, we don't have to share with 42.
I would very much like to try, though.
Sure? Okay.
I wander over and I grab a roasted nut.
Oh, this is horrible.
How are you going to eat it? Do you have a mouth?
He does. He has like a mandible that sort of goes up and down.
Okay.
He's going to take a nut, place it in between the two, the pinch point, if you will, and he's going to squeeze down.
Yeah.
Can you taste anything?
I cannot.
Like, you feel like the sensation of warmth from the nut having been roasted, but yeah, no taste.
Or not.
And obviously the crunch.
Yeah, you feel like the resistance.
Snaps in half.
It's like literally like a nutcracker. Oh, I say, this reminds me of a little contraption we have around wintertime, back at home. To crack nuts. Well,
Oh, the little man with and she mimes like using a nutcracker.
yes. They were quite popular in my hometown. A bit of an import, I imagine, elsewhere. So yes, the little man.
Yes, I've seen pictures of them. I think I saw one once when I was quite young.
Yes.
I think I've seen them before, yes.
Yes, never had one though. We didn't really do Christmas.
Ah, well.
There wouldn't be a Christmas.
Spring birth would probably
yeah,
be
I'm not sure what it is.
Spring birth is probably the closest because it is like that end of winter.
Yeah.
It was a very
Celebration.
big event, good excuse to throw lots of parties and strengthen business ties in that time. So, yes, nuts. Well,
Did you enjoy it, Exley?
I don't know.
That's
On one hand, I answered a question. On the other hand, I do not possess the ability to taste. And I think I am sad.
oh,
Oh.
you can your animal forms taste?
A new question.
That might be something to try to help alleviate the sadness.
I believe I will.
Yeah, we've got
Maybe
some...
tomorrow.
Yes. Yes, when we're on the road again.
yes. Probably best to conserve energy in that regard, especially if you do not recharge it by eating.
Exley stares off into the middle distance, sort of pondering this new question.
Is poor Beatrice still just sitting there against the wall?
Yes, she is.
She doesn't do well around celestials. I don't know much, but
Attractive, just him in particular, or?
from what I know and do
I would
not feel
assume
I should
girls would
impart-
like that sort of visage.
On one hand, I think for a Kenku, she is in fact an older woman.
Aged as well.
Well, that changes taste. I certainly don't appreciate the aesthetics of people I appreciated the aesthetics of when I was younger. Anyway, I think it's, from what I know, it's celestials as a
History,
concept she
yes.
takes issue with.
Oh, that sort. Well, I can, yes. Well, would one of those nuts? Sorry. This is very amusing. Can I? Perhaps one of us should bring one of the nuts to her.
Certainly, I think
Conrad is laughing about this, but I physically cannot get those words out. Sorry. Perhaps one of us should bring a nut to her as an offering.
Yes. Okay. All right, I'll bring the tray over. Beatrice, we've got some roasted nuts for everyone.
Thank you, but I have already eaten. I'm good.
Oh, you sure you don't want dessert?
Yes, I'm quite sure.
All right then. Well, they're there later if you want them. I did my best.
It's understandable. That's,
Yes.
Sometimes she may wish to be alone,
Yes.
contemplating her distaste of particular people.
Yeah, I think it's more of they killed her village than I don't know.
Oh, well.
Yes.
Is that particularly something we should be?
Sorry.
Well,
I just didn't want you getting the wrong idea.
Yes, well.
maybe we should go to bed.
Yes, that's a good idea.
That may be wise.
Yes, hopefully they got a cot big enough for you, Exley.
I'm sorry, was that humor? I am still grasping the terms.
It was a
It
very
wasn't a-
pathetic attempt at it.
It was an attempted one.
Oh,
Yes,
ha
do
ha
not trouble
ha.
yourself. 42.
You don't have to laugh. I'm used to people not laughing.
Perhaps we will learn what humor is together.
And on that note, we're gonna end the episode
Oh my
with
god.
that. As you
So
guys
sorry.
settle in for rest for the evening.
CV gets obliterated.
It's
Emotionally.
roasted as those nuts.
Yeah, like take one fire damage for that burn. No, not really. Not really, but
It's you, Darby. We can't be
Emotional
sure.
damage.
Come on, she's a wizard. She'd die.
It's true.
I die of 1d4 burn damage.
Thank you for listening,
Yes.
everyone.
Thank you for listening.
Sure. We'll catch you next week. We have a
See you next
completely uneventful sleep.
Yes.
Nothing
Nothing
bad at all will
happens.
happen. We just get to have a
Yeah.
rest.
Definitely uneventful.
No waking up being attacked by like vampires or whatever. It'll be great.
Beatrice is going to kill someone in their sleep.
People
Right.
get killed by Beatrice.
Yes.
You didn't respect my trauma. I kill you all now.
Oh,
Right,
Goodbye.
thank you, everyone.
thank you.
Bye.
bye.